Hello, everyone, and welcome to the weekly Oracle Wisdom. For those of you that haven't seen me before, my name is Natalie Sadie, and welcome to everyone on YouTube and on High Vibe. We've got some people coming into the chat, which is amazing. I always love having people here. I hope you're all having a good week. I don't know about you if you're feeling all this Cancer energy. I myself have been a little emotional this last week, just randomly crying or probably crying at movies that I wouldn't normally cry during. I don't know. And vivid dreams, like crazy things going on when I'm in that realm. So I don't know how the rest of you are all doing and coping with all of that, but it's been a lot. It does feel very watery at the moment in terms of the energies. So I have 3 incredible decks. I've got my Ascending Life Oracle deck here that we're going to start with. I always enjoy starting with this deck for the weekly reading. I have a new deck that I haven't used before on here, which is the Wild Woman Rising, and I love these cards. And then we are going to finish with some shadow work, because I think shadow work is the work that never ends. So let's get going and see what's happening for the week ahead. Death, inevitable end, big transformation, shedding required, dead end. I know people often see the death card even in tarot and are often freaked out by it because death is so scary. First of all, death shouldn't scare anyone. It's a transition point. And that's in reality what these cards are showing when they come up in tarot and in the oracle readings. It's a transition point in life. I used to be freaked out by the death card in tarot before I understood the meaning of the cards. And now I see it and I get excited, because transformation means we're not going to be stuck in this same spot anymore. And for me, that's such an exciting thing. I don't like feeling stationary and feeling like I'm not moving anywhere. So transformation is a wonderful thing. Shedding required. I think that comes back to the shadow work. Part of shadow work is shedding these old things, these generational traumas, these guilt and things that have hampered us through life, and we don't need those things hanging on to us. There are things that have happened in our lives that they make up our story, but they don't define who we are. Whenever I talk about my past, and I mean, I've written articles about being in a domestic violence situation in a relationship after my marriage had ended, and talk about some other things that have happened in my life, which if you followed me for a while, you probably know about them. And the reality is I've done the work, and these things give me life experience, and I understand a lot of things about how life functions, but it doesn't define me. And so when you shed all of that, you're able to step forward into a new part of your life. There are people that like to hang on to trauma because it gives them an excuse to be a victim. It gives them an excuse to stay stuck where they are. And when you shed that, you lose that ability, but you step into something so much better and so much greater. So just keep that in mind. I know that on that card it does say dead end, but I don't feel that this is about a dead end. I feel like this is more, very much more about transformation and shedding. And the inevitable end, again, I don't think it's a bad thing. We've talked over the past few months about letting go of relationships and situations that don't serve us. So maybe part of it is just that inevitable end. And again, that's not a bad thing. That's actually a wonderful thing, because when you shed that and you let go of it, so many new incredible things come into your life. Burnout, having too many irons in the fire, not taking care of yourself, lack of control, all work, no life. So I talked at the beginning about all of the dreaming that's been going on for me, and I have been tired, so tired. And it's because what's going on while I'm in my sleep state is making me absolutely exhausted. But so this is where this card is about. You've got to take care of yourself. There is no point burning yourself out. You have to, and maybe you're feeling like there's a lack of control, or maybe you're feeling like your life is imbalanced at the moment, or has an imbalance to it. You need to stop and take a breath. Take a breath and breathe and figure out what's the most important thing. And so here's the thing: when you've got a million things to do, and I'm someone who loves to make lists. I always make lists, especially if I'm traveling or doing something like that. And it's all the things that I want to have done before I travel. My lists are always so big that that's not possible. I'm not going to be able to get rid of all the things, or like tick everything off the list. But what I can do is make an effort to get as close to it as possible. And when I realize that I'm not going to achieve everything, I prioritize what has to be done, what is a non-negotiable. And so you go through and you pick the things that are non-negotiable. And then from there you go, right, I'll get those done. What do I really want done? Okay, I need this, this, and this. And these things, they can wait. They'll still be there when I get back. And I feel like this is sort of where we are at the moment. You have control over the burnout. I get sometimes we have commitments that we can't get out of, but make sure you are taking care of yourself. And maybe that's why you've got this shedding card, like the death card coming up, because you're meant to shed this feeling or this burden of everything that you're expected to get done because it's not physically possible. Okay, so this is all about how we're taking care of ourselves. Poor health, neglecting health, health needs. All right, today I can't read backwards. Health needs assessment, mental health conditions, addictive habits. So it is time to put your health first, whether that be exercising, diet, sleep, taking supplements, whatever it is that you need physically, it's time to add to it. And when you're not being taken care of physically, it's easier to burn out. So it's the week of self-care. And you know what? We're in Cancer season, so it makes sense that this is what we need to do. It's about taking care of us. I love that Cass in the comments is saying that they've got their to-do list before their vacations as well. You know what? It's got to be done. Otherwise, I forget things. And even though I go down the list, I get on a flight or I get in the car and then I'm still convinced I've forgotten things. Okay. Dating, being open to love, seeing somebody specific, going on more dates, feeling good, and flirting. I feel like whenever we talk about dating, it can trigger some people. You know what? I feel like this is more about getting out of the house, indicating to the universe that you're open to the opportunities that are being presented to you. I'm sorry, I know the card's moving around. I've got my fan going on full blast above my head because my apartment's really, really hot. But it's time to be open to dating. And look, sometimes just going out, even if the date that you go on, if you know it's not going to go anywhere, it can be a form of self-care, taking care of yourself, taking care of your needs, just getting out. Oh my gosh, sometimes you just need to break up the habit and the monotony of what your life is. I mean, it's so easy to get caught up and actually happy being alone. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I enjoy my own company. I always say I prefer animals to humans, but nothing changes if you don't change it. And I just feel like this one is more about being open to what's being presented and sometimes just flirting with someone. Ugh. I remember after my marriage ended, I was working and there was somebody that I flirted with. And I remember turning around and just going, I actually flirted with that person, and I was surprised because I hadn't really told many people that I was living as a single woman. Or sorry, I have neighbors screaming there's a sports match or something going on. I don't think you guys can hear it, but just if you can, I apologize. But just walking away after having that little flirt, I remember feeling really good. And again, I think it's just that shift of energy. So just be open to it. Contracts, important legal matters, agreement between two parties, making something official, applications and signatures. So I'm going to pull another card just to get more clarity on this. But is there something perhaps that you're dealing with, whether it be moving and signing a lease, or is there a work thing? Is it a new job? Is it a new venture? But there's something coming up that feels like it's going to need to be made official. I don't feel like it's anything bad. And look, if it's a divorce, it's the inevitable end. And again, I don't think that's a bad thing. You're then free to date. So I get that a breakdown of any relationship is sad, but at the same time, sometimes it's just needed and you need to be free. Passion, lustful desires, sexual connection with someone, new passion in life, active sex life. So if you've been shutting yourself off, it's time to get back out there. And can I tell you, there is nothing like a little bit of passion to get the energy flowing and get you in a completely different frame of mind. So nothing anyone can say will convince me of anything different to that. So the other card is the devil, addiction problems, excess, obsession, dependency, materialism, bad financial habits, and shadow self. I've already said we're going to be pulling a couple of shadow cards because before I sat down to do this, I had a very strong feeling that shadow was going to be a very important part of this reading. So in tarot, the devil card can also represent sex. So it makes me laugh that it came out with the passion card. So with the poor health, are you dealing with an addiction issue? Is there something? And look, addiction can be a really bad habit. So we all know David loves to vape, and look, good for him if he's happy with it, but vaping can do really bad things to you. And I'm not telling anyone what to do, but what I'm saying is there a habit that is causing your poor health? Is it something that you need to look at and you need to shift? I almost wonder if the contracts card with the materialism line of this card, materialism, bad financial habits. So if there's something going on with that, if those two are attached for you, it's time to look at things and get things sorted, change those habits. I'm going to pull one last card from here and just see if there's any other clarity around the devil card. It's a snake card. Time of healing, shed old skin, secret knowledge, jealousy and envy. So, yeah, because when I was shuffling, I was looking at these cards going, okay, there's a few different topics here that we're looking at. And we've got, the taking care of ourselves and nurturing yourself and stopping this burnout, stopping the poor health. Like, it's up to you to change all of that. Nobody else can do that for you. I feel like the dating and the passion is all about bringing in new, fresh energy. And to me, that's really exciting. And, dating doesn't need to be a terrible thing. And honestly, take yourself on a date. I don't think that dating necessarily has to be with another person. It doesn't necessarily have to be this big romantic thing. Obviously, that's always what we hope for, but if it's not, if you're just stuck in this space and you need to shift something, take yourself out on a date, go to dinner and a movie. And when I go to dinner on my own, I take a book and I really enjoy it. Just sometimes being out in other people's energy, having that time. And also when you're on your own, it's when more people are likely to come and approach you, because it's not as intimidating as having to walk up to a massive group of people. The contracts, look, I don't see it as a bad thing. I think there is the opportunity for it to be sort of tied into that devil card, and for it to be something that maybe hasn't done, is you maybe clearing up something that hasn't been going well. But I feel like it's probably more about the death card stepping into something new, ending something. So whether that be signing a new lease, because that's leaving behind the old life that you had, or signing because you've just bought a place, or signing a new job, but it's stepping into something new, which I think is great. And the snake card, time of healing, shedding old skin. I think snakes feel amazing when they shed that skin. And look, I don't know, maybe it's me. I see videos of a snake shedding its skin and it's so therapeutic. I wish I could go in there and help pull off the skin, but that could be some weird habit of mine. But you look at them when they come out and it's like they're reborn. And that's exactly what this card represents. So the fact that this is the death card is the first one and the snake card is the last card that I pulled from this deck, to me is a perfect way to sort of close that one. I always tell you guys every week that your life is your decision. You control the outcome of it. You control what happens. So if you want to stay stuck in that old skin and be trapped and not moving anywhere, totally up to you, but this is the time to sort of move through all of that. And being Cancer season, it's very emotional and it's all about the waters flowing and going with the flow and what have you. So feel the emotions, work your way through them, and come out reborn on the other side. The other thing is with water, you dive into an ocean or into some water with movement and you do come out cleansed. And it's amazing. So it wouldn't, like cancer season is a perfect time to do it. Dive deep, feel all the feelings and come out reborn, rechristened, however you want to think about it, but it'll be amazing. So with the Wild Woman deck, worship at the temple. And I don't think worship at the temple needs to be taken literally. This is about connection to the earth. It's about grounding yourself. It's about connecting to source or spirit, however you take that. But it's time to feel that connection. And when you tap in, that's the easiest time to do the work, because you're grounded, you're centered, you're clear in your thoughts. I meditate every day, but there are moments where it gets away from me and I feel disconnected. I feel discombobulated. And then when I finally sit down again and meditate once again, I sit there and go, oh, why have I been so bad with my practice? Because I just feel so good. I'm able to achieve so much more. Rewild your spirit. When you're connected to source, you are able to remember who you are and be true to who you are. So it's time to find that person again. Don't be afraid of her. Don't run away from her. Don't think that you have to hide from who the wild part of you is. I think when you embrace who you are and you honor her or him, I think that's when we're at our most magical. So make sure you connect with that. And it's very easy, especially if we're feeling burnt out, if we're listening to people who criticize us or want us to do things differently or in a different way, it's very, very easy to sort of change who we are or let their comments get under our skin. It's a conversation Anne and I were having a little earlier. And what we have to remember is there's only one of us on this earth, and we are here for a reason and a purpose. And you have to honor her and understand, or him again, but you have to understand that you are going to be most effective when you are in your truth and holding that path. Know yourself. So that essentially, I don't even think I need to say anything with this card. It's essentially everything I was just saying. So I embrace the internal mother. So I think this is about nurturing, and honestly, this week, I feel like it's about nurturing yourself. Take care of yourself and do the things that you need to do. When you're shedding your skin, as amazing as it is, it's not always an easy process. You know, the snakes have to shed the skin off their eyes as well as the rest of their body. And it can be a bit of work, and they'll often go over logs and things like that and try and get the skin hooked on that, and then they can slither out of it. When you embrace the internal mother, it's the nurturing spirit. It's nurturing yourself, it's nurturing those around you. And I think it's time to connect deeply with the feminine energy. All right, I am going to pull, all day I've been getting two cards with the shadow work card. So that's what we're going to do to finish this off. And then I'm going to let you know some exciting news. Aimless shadow, no ambition, clear direction in life, purposeless, lost, unguided, wasting time. So the opposite of that is find your target to shoot and purge yourself of all the aimless distractions. Don't live a life in darkness. I feel like this is pretty great considering where we are. And I think when we're being overwhelmed, it's very easy to get lost in all the chatter and the noise and everything else that's going on around us. So this week is very much a time to recenter, reground, figure out what is important to us. Like I talked about with the list, if there's too much going on, it is time for you to re-look at what's going on and put everything in order of what's most important and let the other things fall away and do what is important to you. Time to focus. And once again, nurture yourself. So do what you need to do to start building life the way you want it. You don't have to be there for everybody else. Okay. Apparently we're doing 3. Okay. So we've got depressed shadow, persistent long-term depression, melancholy, bleakness, sad, despondent. The opposite of that, there are wounds that need to be addressed and healed. Explore your childhood wounds. So, I mean, I talked about the fact that we are in Cancer season. I talked about the fact that I have been super emotional. So feel all the feelings, but do not get stuck there. Do not get lost in all of that. It can be very easy to sort of be in that space. And I am a big one for working through any traumas that you have, because when you work through them, like I said earlier, those traumas become part of your story, part of your wisdom that you're able to share and pass on, but it doesn't become an identity. So don't let that happen. And if you haven't addressed those things, depending on how deep they are, yes, it could be a long-term thing that you're working on, but this is a week to get started if you haven't already started. And then the final card is the follower shadow, easily influenced or led, loss of identity, compliant and influenced. If you're always following, then you'll be subjected to others' ideas about who you should be. So again, this comes back to knowing yourself. It's not the time of doing everything to appease everyone else, to be the person that other people think you are or think you should be, is done. It is about knowing who you are and honoring her. Rewild your spirit. This is what this week is about. So you're in charge of being able to do that. I think, to me, this is a good reading. I know there's a few things in there which are maybe a little bit harder. It's not the happiest of happy readings, but I feel like it's all good. It's just, it's time for us to sort of do the work, feel the things, and move on up. So I hope that resonates with some of you. Like I always say, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Not every reading is for every person. I totally get that. For those of you that are watching Gemini Rising, we had the most wonderful episode last Wednesday with Karen Anderson, who is an author and animal communicator. And time flew by with that conversation. Anne and I had such a wonderful, wonderful conversation with her. I think there was so much information in there about how we can communicate with our own animals that are in our lives. And also a lot of it was about dealing with grief of losing our pets. To me, it was the most wonderful episode we've done to date. I thought it was just magical. And tomorrow at 4 p.m. Pacific time, we have Chris Reck coming on Gemini Rising, astrologer Chris Reck. So that's going to be another phenomenal conversation. So if you can join us live, so you can be in the comments, ask any questions that you have for Chris. So that's on my Natalie Sadie YouTube channel. You'll always find all of the Gemini Risings under the live section. So make sure you join us for that. For those that enjoy my Oracle card readings, on the 1st of July, I will be dropping a July monthly reading. Those are only available on the YouTube channel. So make sure you head over to Weekly Oracle Wisdom, find the page, subscribe so you can see the monthly readings. And I think that's everything. So I hope to see you guys all tomorrow on the Natalie Sadie page for Gemini Rising with Anne and Chris Reck. I'm so excited. And as always, Anne, thank you so much for everything that you do.